Welcome back to Crypto Meets AI. Jerry here with an update for you. Do me a favor, friends. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and comment down below. Now let's get into this. The laws are tailor-made for Ripple. This is why XRP will lead the new financial system. The laws will catapult the world's best asset, XRP. Don't be fooled, my friends. Over the years, I've sat in meetings few outside the inner corridors of finance ever witnessed. Representatives from the ECB, major European banks, Ripple executives, even envoys linked to Musk Ventures. The discussions weren't theoretical. They're about interoperability, liquidity, and infrastructure of the new financial standard. I've said it before. Transformation doesn't arrive with headlines. It arrives through alignment. Elon Musk has long been fascinated by decentralized payments, long before his takeover of X. What Ripple has quietly built over the years aligns closely with the infrastructure vision he's always hinted at. Instant, borderless value transfer. Now that he controls the world's largest communication financial distribution platforms, the stage is set for something significant. When the time is right, I'll share what I know, and I can tell you this. Something big is coming. Lord Belgrave. And this is the catalyst of all catalysts. The Bank of International Settlement states that ISO 222 can be adopted as a standard messaging protocol for digital asset transactions, including stablecoins. ISO 222 is the new messaging standard adopted by SWIFT to enable transactions involving digital currencies, e-money, stablecoins, and CBDCs. ISO 222 is the bridge that fintechs need for true mass adoptions of stablecoins. Let's hear what old Jake's price prediction is for XRP by the end of 2025 and beyond.
Sounds good. So anyway,
let's say XRP price prediction. Just ETFs, I think somewhere between 10 and $50 is very reasonable. If we get all of the other catalysts, and I think we will, again, I give it a 95% certainty that it happens this year. You could easily have a 3 or 4 digit XRP by the end of 2025. 2026 to 2027, I think you'll see tokenization of derivatives. And that puts XRP at a 5-digit price.
Wow.
And then, beyond that, if you do have tokenization of real estate and all of these other real world assets, and 85% of that ends up on chain by the end of 2030, 6 figures by the end of 2030 for XRP. And then, if you wanted to go even further out, I do think that it'll reach the $1 million mark if you gave it a decade.
Put down below and tell me what you guys think. Do you believe these price points are possible, or just pure speculation, madness, and it will never happen? Comment down below and let me know. Here's some really big breaking news in my opinion. I keep on telling you, the institutions are here, my friends. CNBC just announced live that Walmart will now accept crypto, BTC, ETH, and XRP via OnePay Cash. Over 150 million users can now use crypto for payments. Mass adoption isn't coming, my friends. It's already here.
And just the ease of which regular folks, people who go to Walmart, there are 150 million Americans who use Walmart online or in person every week, can now actually have crypto in the very same app. They can buy it, they can hold it, they can store it, they can trade it if they want, and then when they want to go pay for something, they can turn it into cash and like we said, go OnePay is actually integrated into the checkouts of Walmart. So it is, I think, a milestone in that case, Carl.
All right, Hugh, thank you.
Isn't it crazy? You got all these announcements, positive announcements, one right after another, and yet the prices still remain the same. Market manipulation, 100% price suppression. They're doing this on purpose. They need to get on board before the price skyrockets. Well, I'd have to say they turned Uptober to Downtober. That's for sure. 150 plus digital assets ETFs waiting for approval, seems James Sefard. He mentioned XRP and Solana are a part of the next wave coming soon. We all saw what happened to Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs went live. Now imagine the kind of liquidity hit in XRP.
There's like 35 different assets that have been filed for. So I mean, some of them are leveraged, some of them are inverse. Like you name it, the issuers are filing to launch these things. But as you mentioned, the government's in a shutdown, so I don't think anything new is going to come to market while the government is shut down. That's my current expectations. I guess anything could happen because technically the rules are if the SEC doesn't stop you within 75 days. We can get into the weeds there if we really want, but basically the new rules are basically if the SEC signs off on things or doesn't stop you, you can launch the product within 75 days of filing. Realistically, there's only 9-ish assets that are going to get approved before the end of 2025 that meet these new generic listing standards for like traditional spot products. But there's other ways to get around and launch these pseudo products that are almost like spot or leverage or use derivatives and things like that to provide exposure in ETF wrapper. But as you said, I don't think any of those things are likely going to launch while the government is shut down.
Yeah. Do you think that these ETFs, which historically have had a significant impact on the crypto markets and have seen incredible inflows, do you think with the recent uprising of digital asset treasury companies in this publicly listed format, because now those are sort of in the spotlight and you can get exposure through these DATs, do you think we're going to see a little bit less anticipation and excitement around the ETFs when they do inevitably go live?
Yeah, I mean, so I have a few thoughts here, right? Like the long tail of assets. I mentioned there's 30 plus assets that are filed for ETFs. Some have like 20 plus filings related to them, like Solana and XRP and other Bitcoin and Ethereum products. I think the longer tail of assets are of assets like specific digital currencies. They're probably not going to get a ton of interest, right? Like just because you launch like the 47th largest digital asset in an ETF wrapper doesn't mean that this asset's going to take off because it simply has an ETF. I mean, if you look at the Bitcoin ETFs, part of the reason they did so well is because there was so much pent up demand. And when they launched, Bitcoin was roaring, right? Like it launched into early January and everyone was expecting it. A lot of money poured in. Initially, it was actually kind of a sell the news event. But long term, money kept pouring in and it was a positive thing for the space. Ethereum is the opposite. For the first 5 months of its launch, they had net outflows for Ethereum ETFs because, market had dumped. It was in the summer. There wasn't a lot of demand. It came too quickly after the Bitcoin ETF launched. The narratives weren't clear. But then Trump got elected and it took off. And it's just another avenue for people to play the space, particularly TradFi types of people. So I think the same thing could happen for these other assets. So I think things like Solana and XRP, we know there's pent up demand there.
Don't forget, because when these ETFs go live, all hell's going to break loose and we're going to see some movement like we've never seen before. Gilmore Estates, not just properties, we build legacies that outlive generations. At Gilmore Estates, we're redefining what real estate means. It's not just about owning land, it's about creating value, building trust, and securing a future that speaks beyond time. Powered by innovation and the strength of HBAR, we're bridging real estate and blockchain, creating lasting impact and timeless opportunity. Gotta say it, my friends, the institutions are here. The $1 quadrillion opportunity and XRP's place in it. There's $1 quadrillion about to move through tokenized assets. Most people have no clue what's coming, but Ripple built the rails it'll all run on. XRP isn't just a coin, it's a bridge to the new financial era. Let's hear what he has to say.
This moment right here, this gave me chills. We're talking about the biggest transformation in finance, maybe even in history. Global cross-border payments alone move $150 trillion every single year. But when you add in tokenized assets, bonds, and derivatives, that number passes $1 quadrillion. And sitting right in front of this opportunity is XRP, liquid, borderless, the purpose built to move value at the speed of information. This isn't a meme coin story. It is the backbone of a new monetary system. Even Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, said, and I quote, "Tokenized assets enable instant transactions and open markets." When the world's biggest asset manager says that, you know the floodgates are about to bust open. Every major institution, from banks to sovereign funds, is shifting towards tokenization. And the rails that make it all work, well, Ripple already built them. The future of finance, it's not coming. It is here. It's wild how deep this actually goes.
And that's the thing about this. Ripple doesn't have to soak up all of the market. Even like 1 or 2% of $1 quadrillion is going to send XRP's price through the roof. And that's exactly why it's going to be a multi-chain, multi-token system. I've always said that and I always will. Well, that's what I have for you folks. Until next time, stay savvy, stay stacking, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and comment down below. And if you want more crypto deep dives, check out our videos right here on Crypto Meets AI. Thank you for watching. Remember to always do your own research. This is not financial advice.